Ambassador Veltas stood before the Galactic Council chamber, his crystalline hands trembling. Behind him, on the massive display screen, his homeworld burned. The Krathian swarm had arrived 3 weeks ago, and the Kixar people were dying. "Please," Veltas said, his voice breaking, "my people need help. We have 42 million civilians trapped on the surface. Our defense fleet is destroyed. We have days, maybe hours left." Council members shifted in their seats. Veltas could see it in their faces. They had already decided no one would help. The Zinthari representative spoke first. "Ambassador, we sympathize with your situation, but the Krathian swarm has consumed 12 star systems. They are too dangerous. We cannot risk our fleets. We have families," the Moltarian diplomat added, "children. We cannot send our people to die, one by one." Each species gave their reasons. Too dangerous, too far away, not enough resources. Strategic concerns. The words were different, but the meaning was the same. The Kixar would face the swarm alone. Veltas felt his hope dying. His people had lived in peace for thousands of years. They were artists, philosophers, musicians. They had no great weapons, no warrior culture. They had believed the galaxy was a civilized place where species helped each other. They had been wrong. "Is there no one?" Veltas asked quietly. "No one who will stand with us?" Silence filled the chamber. Representatives looked away, studied their data pads, avoided his eyes. Then a voice spoke from the back of the room. "We remember." Every head turned. The human delegation sat in the corner, seats where younger species were placed. Humans had only joined the Galactic Council 70 years ago. They were considered small, weak, unimportant. Admiral Sarah Chen stood up. She was a small woman with gray hair and dark eyes that had seen too much. She wore a simple blue uniform with no decorations except one medal over her heart. "The human delegation recognizes the Kixar request for aid," Chen said formally, "and we accept." The chamber exploded with noise. Representatives shouted over each other. The Zinthari delegate laughed. "The humans, what can you possibly do? You have barely 50 warships. The swarm has thousands." Chen walked down the aisle toward Veltas. She moved slowly, deliberately. When she reached the center of the chamber, she stopped and turned to face the council. 847 years ago, Chen said, Earth faced extinction. A rogue asteroid, massive beyond calculation, was going to hit our planet. We had no technology to stop it, no time to evacuate. 6 billion humans were going to die. She paused. The chamber had gone quiet. We sent messages to every species we could reach, begging for help. We had nothing to offer, no payment, no trade. We were just a primitive world asking for mercy. Chen looked at each council member in turn. "Do you know how many species responded?" "One, only one." She turned to Veltas. "The sent a single colony ship. It was old, slow, barely capable of the journey. The captain's name was Keltas. He was your ancestor, wasn't he?" Veltas felt his breath catch. "Yes. My great-great-grandfather. Keltas brought us gravitational technology," Chen continued. "It was experimental, barely tested. His own government had ordered him not to interfere with primitive species. He disobeyed. He came anyway." She held up a small crystal, letting the light shine through it. "This crystal contains the original data Keltas gave us. We used it to build gravity generators. We moved the asteroid. 6 billion humans lived because 1. Captain chose kindness over orders. The chamber remained silent. Keltas was exiled for helping us, Chen said softly. He spent the rest of his life on a distant colony, labeled a criminal by his own people. But he saved Earth. He saved humanity. She looked back at the council. After that day, every human child learns about Keltas. We have monuments to him on every human world. We have a holiday called Remembrance Day when we celebrate the kindness of strangers. We teach our children that debts must be paid, that loyalty matters, that kindness is never forgotten. Chen placed the crystal on the council table. The Terran Defense Fleet received our orders 6 hours ago. They are already en route to space, all of them, all. The Zinthari delegate stood up. You cannot mean your entire fleet. That would leave Earth defenseless. Every ship, Chen confirmed, every captain, every crew member. When we asked for volunteers, every single human in the fleet raised their hand. We had to turn away millions more who wanted to help. She pulled out a data chip and inserted it into the council display. Numbers appeared on the screen, ship names. Thousands of them, 2,847. Warships, Chen said, one for each year. Since the debt was created, the fleet is commanded by Admiral Marcus Stone aboard the flagship Remember Kindness. The Moltarian diplomat gasped. That is your entire military force. If you lose, humanity will have no defense. Then we won't lose, Chen said simply. This is insane, the Zinthari delegate shouted. You are risking extinction for a species that helped you centuries ago. Most of your people weren't even born when this happened. Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. You don't understand humans. We are young, yes. Weak maybe, but we remember every kindness, every slight, every promise made. The helped us when no one else would. Now we help them. She turned to Veltas and placed a hand over her heart, over the single medal she wore. This medal belonged to Captain Keltas. He left it behind when he departed Earth. We have kept it safe for 847 years, waiting to return it to your people. Today I return it to you along with a promise. Humanity pays its debts. Veltas took the medal with shaking hands. It was warm, ancient, precious beyond measure. Tears ran down his crystalline vase. Admiral Stone is waiting for final authorization, Chen said. With your permission, Ambassador, the Terran Defense Fleet will engage the Krathian swarm and drive them from your system. You would do this? Veltas whispered. Risk everything. Your grandfather risked everything for us, Chen replied. We do the same for you. That is what humanity does. Veltas looked at the medal, then at Chen, then at the council members who had rejected his plea. Yes, he said, his voice stronger now. Yes, please help us. Chen tapped her communicator. Admiral Stone, this is Chen. Authorization confirmed. Execute Operation Remember. Across 3 star systems, human warships received their orders. In the home system, at the edge of sensor range, space rippled. 2,847 ships dropped out of faster than light travel simultaneously. On the bridge of Remember Kindness, Admiral Marcus Stone looked at the swarm forces surrounding the Kixar homeworld. His officers waited silently, all. Ship, Stone said calmly, "This is what we trained for. This is what we built. For 847 years ago, one brave captain saved our world. Today we save his." He looked at his tactical display. The swarm outnumbered them 3-1. The odds were terrible. Many humans would die in the next few days. Let's show the galaxy what human gratitude looks like, Stone said. All ships advance. Remember kindness. Throughout the fleet, 2 million humans responded as one. Remember kindness. The Krathian hive mind observed the approaching human fleet with something close to curiosity. Humans were a young species, barely noticed in galactic affairs. Their ships were smaller than most, their weapons conventional, their tactics predictable. The hive mind calculated. It assigned 3 swarm fleets to intercept the humans. Standard overwhelming force doctrine. The humans would be consumed within hours. Their biological material absorbed, their technology assimilated. Then the Kixar homeworld would fall as planned. The calculation was perfect. The hive mind had conquered over 1,000 worlds using these same calculations. But the hive mind did not understand. Humans. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of Remember Kindness, watching the swarm fleets approach. 3 massive formations, each containing hundreds of biological ships that looked like they had been grown rather than built. They moved in perfect synchronization, guided by the single mind that controlled them all. Sir, swarm fleets are entering weapons range, his tactical officer reported. They outnumber our forward squadrons 5-1. Good, Stone said. Quietly, Lieutenant Park, deploy the coffin. Ships across the fleet launch bays opened. Small craft emerged, each barely large enough for one person. They looked fragile, unarmored, almost pathetic compared to the massive swarm vessels. There were thousands of them. Inside one coffin ship, Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez checked her systems one final time. The ship was simple: 1 pilot seat, 1 nuclear warhead, 1 faster than light drive, and nothing else. No shields, no armor, no weapons except the bomb. She had volunteered for this mission 6 months ago. So had 30,000 other humans. They all knew what coffin ships were designed to do. This is coffin leader to all units, Rodriguez said into her comm. Remember why we're here. Remember Keltas. Remember kindness. 30,000 voices answered. Remember kindness. The coffin ships accelerated. They moved fast, faster than any normal attack craft. They aimed directly at the swarm fleets. No evasion, no tactics, just straight lines toward the enemy. The swarm fleets opened fire. Biological projectiles and energy beams filled space. Coffin ships exploded by the hundreds. The hive mind calculated. Primitive suicide attack, inefficient, easily countered. Then the first coffin ship reached 0.99 light speed. Rodriguez watched her speed climb. Her ship shook violently. The whole temperature rose to dangerous levels. She could see a swarm command ship directly ahead, growing larger in her viewport. For Earth, she whispered. At the last possible second, she activated her FTL drive. The universe twisted. Rodriguez disappeared, jumping 3 light years away to a safe recovery point, but the kinetic energy of her ship, moving at near light speed, did not disappear. Neither did the nuclear warhead, already armed and counting down. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. The kinetic impact hit first, punching through the swarm ship like it was paper, then the nuclear warhead detonated inside the vessel, releasing energy equivalent to a small star. The swarm command ship simply ceased to exist. Across the battlefield, thousands of coffin ships executed the same maneuver. Near light speed approach, last second. FTL jump, impact plus nuclear detonation. Each one targeted a different enemy vessel. The hive mind had never encountered this tactic. In 3,000 years of conquest, no species had weaponized faster than light travel this way. It was brilliant. It was insane. It was working. In 4 clears throat minutes, Swarm Fleet 1 was destroyed, 700 ships gone. On the bridge of Remember Kindness, Stone watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Recall all coffin ships. Well done, people. Now let's show them what our real fleet can do. Light years away, in the Galactic Council chambers, representatives watched the battle fleet in stunned silence. They survived. The Molturian diplomat whispered, "They suicide ships." The pilots survived. Not suicide, Admiral Chen corrected. Sacrifice implies giving up your life. Humans prefer to live and keep fighting. We just had to figure out how to use kamikaze tactics without the kamikaze part. A Zinthari military analyst pulled up data on his screen. His hand shook as he read. This is unprecedented. They're using FTL drives as escape pods. The timing required is it should be impossible. The margin for error is less than 1/10 of a second. We've been practicing for 800 years. Chen said simply, we had time to get it right. On screen, the battle continued. The remaining 2 swarm fleets began to adapt. They spread out, making harder targets. They focused fire on the coffin ships earlier, destroying more before they could reach attack speed. The hive mind recalculated human threat level significant. It sent urgent signals across the sector. More swarm fleets began turning toward Kixari. Space, 3 more from nearby systems. 5 more from conquered worlds. Another 7 pulling back from active conquest zones. The hive mind was calling in reinforcements. 15 swarm fleets total, all converging on one location. It would crush the humans with overwhelming numbers. It would make an example of them. Other species would see what happened to those who opposed the swarm. Admiral Stone received the intelligence reports. His officers looked worried. 15 swarm fleets meant they would be outnumbered 5-1, possibly worse. Sir, his first officer said quietly, perhaps we should consider falling back. We've bloodied them. We could protect the Kixari evacuation and retreat to a stronger position. Stone looked at the star map. He could see the swarm fleets converging. So many ships, so much firepower. The smart move would be to retreat, but humans did not always do the smart thing. No, Stone said, we hold this position. Sir, we can't fight 15 fleets. The math doesn't work. The math is perfect, Stone replied with a strange smile. Right now 15 swarm fleets are moving toward us. That means 15 fleets are not attacking other worlds. How many species live in the systems they just abandoned? His first officer checked the database. 17 inhabited worlds. Population ranging from 3 million to 2 billion. And those worlds are safe now, Stone said, because the swarm is coming after us instead. We're not just defending the Kixari anymore, we're defending everyone. He turned to his communications officer. Send a message to all ships. Tell them what's coming. Tell them they can leave if they want to. No one will judge them. This mission has already succeeded beyond our hopes. The communications officer sent the message. Stone waited. He knew what the response would be, but he wanted to give them the choice. Reports came back within minutes. Not one single ship requested to leave. Not one single captain wanted to retreat. 2 million humans facing impossible odds chose to stay. Stone felt pride swell in his chest. Then we stay together, all hands. Prepare for extended combat operations. Engineering, I need you to bring the special packages online. His chief engineer grinned. Aye, sir. Opening the supply ships now. Across the fleet, the ships designated as supply vessels began to transform. Their hulls opened like flowers, blooming. Inside were not supplies, not food or ammunition or spare parts. They were construction platforms. Massive, sophisticated, powerful, and they began to build something in space. Something huge, something the galaxy had never seen before. The Molturian diplomat pointed at the council screen with a trembling finger. What are they building? Admiral Chen smiled. Remember how the Kixari saved us with gravitational technology? We spent 8 centuries perfecting it, making it better, making it stronger, making sure that if the Kixari ever needed us, we would be ready. That structure, the Zinthari analyst said, his voice filled with horror and awe. It's surrounding the Kixari sun. It's a Dyson sphere segment. They're building a solar energy collector, not a collector. Chen corrected. A weapon. We call it the gravity lance. It can create controlled gravitation, distortion, micro black holes. We can open them anywhere within 5 light years. The chamber erupted in shouting, that's a planet killer weapon. You built a doomsday device. How long have you had this technology? Chen waited for them to quiet down. When they did, she spoke softly but clearly. We've had the gravity lance designs for 400 years. We never built one until today. We never needed one. But we always knew that someday the Kixari might need help, so we kept the plans ready. We kept the parts ready. We kept ourselves ready. She looked directly at each council member. Humanity does not build weapons of mass destruction for conquest. We build them to protect those we love. The Kixari saved us once. Now we save them with everything we have, no matter the cost. On the screen, the gravity lance continued to take shape. The 15 swarm fleets drew closer, and the human fleet held position, refusing to retreat, refusing to abandon the people who had once shown them kindness. Admiral Stone watched the construction progress. 48 hours until the lance would be operational. 48 hours to hold against 15 swarm fleets. He opened a channel to all ships. This is Stone. You all know what's coming. It's going to be the hardest fight of our lives. Some of us won't survive, but win or lose, the galaxy will remember what happened here. They'll remember that when everyone else looked away, humans kept their promises. He paused, then added quietly, remember kindness. 2 million voices answered him. Remember kindness. The construction platforms worked. Without stopping, piece by piece, the gravity lance took shape around the Kiksari sun. It looked like a half-circle of metal and crystal glowing with captured starlight, beautiful and terrifying at once. Ambassador Veltha stood on the observation deck of Remember Kindness, watching the construction through the viewport. He had requested permission to board the human flagship, needing to understand what his people's ancient kindness had created. Admiral Stone stood beside him. It's impressive, isn't it? We've never built one at full scale before, only small test versions. What have we done? Veltha whispered. My grandfather gave you gravity technology to move an asteroid. You turned it into this, a weapon, yes, Stone admitted, but also a shield. The lance can create gravitational distortion strong enough to tear apart a fleet, or gentle enough to nudge a planet out of harm's way. It's what you use it for that matters. How long have you had this technology? 400 years for the theoretical designs. 200 years since we could actually build it. But we never did. Not until today. Veltha turned to face him. Why not? Why wait? Stone smiled sadly. Because we made a promise to ourselves we would only build the gravity lance if the Kiksari needed us, if the people who saved us were in danger. We kept that promise for 8 centuries. That is, Veltha struggled to find words, that is either the most honorable thing I have ever heard or the most insane. With humans it's often both, Stone said. We're strange that way. An alarm interrupted them. Stone's tactical officer called out urgently, Admiral, the swarm fleets have arrived. All 15 of them. They're taking attack positions. Stone moved to the bridge. Veltha followed. On the main screen, the tactical display showed a nightmare. 15 massive formations, thousands of ships surrounding the human fleet like a closing fist. Time until the gravity lance is operational, Stone asked. 37 hours. Sir? Then we hold for 37 hours. Stone opened fleet-wide communications. All ships, defensive formation Delta 7. Construction platforms are priority 1. We don't retreat. We don't yield, we hold the line. The swarm attacked with overwhelming force. Biological ships poured forward, firing weapons that looked like living things, energy beams that seemed to breathe, projectiles that moved like they were hunting prey. The human fleet responded with disciplined fire. Ship captains who had trained together for decades moved in perfect coordination. They created overlapping fields of fire, covered each other's flanks, sacrificed positioning to protect damaged vessels. But there were so many swarm ships. For every one destroyed, 2 more took its place. On the screen, Veltis watched a human destroyer disappear under concentrated fire, then another, then 3 more in quick succession. Admiral, you're losing ships. I know, Stone said quietly. Your people are dying, I know. Why do you not retreat? Stone looked at him with tired eyes. Because your grandfather didn't retreat. When his government ordered him to stay away from Earth, he could have obeyed. He could have saved his career, his reputation, his comfortable life. Instead, he flew an old colony ship across half the galaxy to save people he'd never met. He gave up everything. Stone turned back to the tactical display. We're just returning the favor. The battle continued. Hours passed, human ships fought with desperate skill, but the math was brutal. The swarm could lose ships and not care. The hive mind simply threw more forces into the fight. Then they swarm changed tactics, biological. Boarding pods launched from swarm vessels, thousands of them, aimed at human ships. They hit hulls and burned through, releasing Catharian warriors. Inside, the hive mind had studied human biology. It knew how to infect them, assimilate them, turn them into more swarm creatures. This was how the swarm had conquered 1,000 worlds. Board the ships, convert the crews, use the vessels against their own people. But the Catharian warriors discovered something unexpected. Every human crew member wore a fully sealed combat suit. The ship interiors had been modified with emergency vent systems, and the humans were waiting on the destroyer Swift Death. Captain James Park watched the boarding pods attached to his hull. All hands seal suits, engineering. Prepare to vent, his crew responded. Instantly, they had practiced this drill 1,000 times. The boarding pods burned through. Catharian warriors poured into the corridor, expecting to find vulnerable humans. Instead, they found sealed bulkheads and empty corridors. Now, Park said calmly, the ship's entire atmosphere vented to space in 3 seconds. The Catharian warriors, adapted for biological warfare, found themselves in hard vacuum. They began dying immediately. Then the bulkheads opened. Human marines emerged, moving in zero gravity like they were born to it. They carried weapons designed specifically for fighting in vacuum, weapons they had spent centuries developing for exactly this scenario. The fighting was brutal. Close quarters, no atmosphere. Spinning through zero gravity while trying to kill things that wanted to assimilate you, but the humans had trained for this. They had war-gamed every possible scenario, practiced every possible tactic. The swarm had never faced an enemy this prepared. Across the fleet, the same scene repeated. Boarding pods attached, atmosphere vented, human marines counterattacked. Ship after ship repelled the boarders, then sealed the breaches and continued fighting. The hive mind recalculated. Boarding tactics ineffective. Human adaptation unexpected. New assessment required. But while the hive mind calculated, humans kept fighting. They lost ships, yes, 400 vessels destroyed in the first 12 hours, but they held their formation. They protected the construction platforms. They bought time. Ambassador Veltus moved through the corridors of remember kindness, watching human crew members work. They were efficient, focused, calm. Even as their friends died on other ships, even as the odds grew worse, they kept working. He found Admiral Chen in the medical bay, helping treat wounded crew members transferred from damaged ships. The human admiral's hands were covered in blood as she helped a doctor stabilize a young ensign. You should not be here, Veltus said. You are an ambassador. I'm also a human, Chen replied, not looking up from her work. We all help, that's what we do. She finished with the ensign and moved to the next patient. Your people taught us that, you know. When Catharian came to Earth, he didn't just give us the technology and leave. He stayed. He taught our scientists how to use it. He worked side by side with humans for 6 months, making sure we understood. Chen smiled at the memory. My great-grandmother met him She was 10 years old. She said he was kind, patient, never treated humans like we were primitive. He treated us like equals, even though his civilization was thousands of years older. That was his way, Velta said softly. It became our way too, Chen replied. We learned from him. Kindness, loyalty, working together. Those became human values because one Catharian showed us how. An explosion rocked the ship. Damage. Reports came in. A swarm weapon had penetrated the shields, killed 7 crew members. Chen paused for only a moment, then returned to work. We'll mourn later. Right now we save who we can. Battle entered its 24th hour. Human losses climbed to 600 ships. The swarm kept pressing, relentless, unstoppable. On the bridge, Stone's officers reported. The numbers. Sir, we've lost a quarter of the fleet. If this continues, we won't last another day. Time until the Lance is operational. 13 hours. Then we last 13 hours, Stone looked at his crew. Young faces, old faces, all determined. I won't lie to you. This is bad. We're losing, but every hour we hold is another hour the construction crews have to finish. Every minute we buy might be the minute that saves the Catharian homeworld. He straightened his uniform. We knew this would be hard. We knew we might not all make it home, but we also knew it would be worth it. The Catharian saved us once. Today we save them no matter what it costs. Crew responded with quiet determination. No tears, no dramatic speeches. Just humans doing their job, paying their debt, keeping their promise. The battle continued through the 30-hour mark. Human ships fell one after another, fighting until the last moment. Each destroyed ship broadcast the same message before it died. The debt is not yet paid. The hive mind calculated constantly, trying to understand. Why did humans fight so hard for another species? Where was the logic, the advantage, the survival benefit? The hive mind could not comprehend loyalty. It could not understand gratitude. These concepts had no place in its calculations, and that was why it would lose. At hour 36, with only 1,600 human ships remaining, the gravity lance powered up. Energy from the Catharian sun flooded into the weapon. The construction platforms detached and moved away. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge, exhausted, covered in soot from a fire he had helped extinguish. Status of the Lance, operational. Sir, we have full power, targeting systems online. Stone looked at the tactical display. The swarm fleet still outnumbered them heavily, but now humanity had the Lance. Target the largest concentration of enemy ships, Stone ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you threaten those we love. The gravity lance fired. Space itself seemed to scream. The gravity lance did not fire a beam. It did not shoot projectiles. Instead, it twisted reality itself. At the center of the largest swarm fleet, concentration, space folded inward. A point of absolute darkness appeared. Smaller than an atom, heavier than a planet, a micro black hole created by controlled gravitational collapse. For one perfect second, nothing seemed to happen. Then the swarm ships began to fall. They did not explode, they did not burn. They simply stretched, distorted, and were pulled into the black hole like water spiraling down a drain. Hundreds of ships, each the size of a building, compressed into nothing. The hive mind tried to send orders, but the ships were already gone there. Matter crushed into a single point of infinite density. The gravitational distortion was visible from 3 star systems away. A ripple in spacetime itself, like a stone dropped in still water. 5 swarm fleets, containing over 2,000 ships, ceased to exist in 47 seconds. On the bridge of Remember Kindness, Admiral Stone watched the tactical display in silence. Where 5 enemy formations had been, there was now empty space. Target eliminated, his tactical officer reported, her voice shaking. All enemy vessels in Zone 7. Destroyed, no debris detected. Stone felt sick. He just killed tens of thousands of beings, maybe more. The swarm ships contain living creatures, connected to the hive mind, but still alive, still real, but they had been attacking the Catharian homeworld. They would have killed 42 million civilians. Sometimes there were no good choices, only necessary ones. Close the black hole, Stone ordered. We don't want it growing. The gravity lance fired again, this time in reverse. The micro black hole sealed, leaving only a slight gravitational anomaly that would fade in a few days. The remaining 10 swarm fleets froze. The hive mind processed what it had seen. For 3,000 years it had been unstoppable. No weapon could truly hurt it. No force could make it retreat. But the gravity lance had just erased 5 fleets in less than a minute. And the weapon was still active, still powered, still aimed at the swarm. For the first time in recorded history, the Krathian swarm retreated. The 10 remaining swarm fleets turned and fled. Kixari space, they moved fast, desperately, in the closest thing to fear that the hive mind could feel. Within an hour they were gone. The Kixari homeworld was safe. In the Galactic Council chambers, silence reigned. Every species representative stared at the screens, trying to process what they had witnessed. The swarm, which had terrified the galaxy for millennia, had run away. The Zenthari delegate stood up slowly. They have a planet-killer weapon. Humans have possessed world-ending technology and never told us. We told you we had gravitation technology, Admiral Chen replied. We just didn't explain how powerful it was. Would you have believed us if we said we could make black holes? This changes everything, the Moltarian diplomat said. Humans are now the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We always were, Chen said quietly. We were dangerous the day we decided to remember Kelthos. The day we decided loyalty mattered more than safety. The day we chose to pay our debts no matter the cost. The weapon is just a tool. It's the will to use it that makes us dangerous. An emergency session of the council was called. Representatives demanded answers. How long had humans possessed this technology? What else were they hiding? Were humans a threat to galactic peace? Chen let them argue for an hour before she spoke again. Let me be clear, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. We built the gravity lance for one reason only: to protect the Kixari if they ever needed us. We have no interest in conquest. We have no desire to threaten other species. We just wanted to be ready to help our friends. But you have the power to destroy worlds, a representative objected. Yes, Chen admitted, we do. And we will never use it for aggression. But we will use it to protect those who helped us. The Kixari saved humanity once. Today we saved them. That is what this weapon is for. The debate raged. For hours, but even as the council argued, new intelligence arrived. The 10 swarm fleets that had fled Kixari space were not dispersing. They were regrouping, and they were being joined by more forces. Every swarm fleet in the sector was being recalled. All of them were heading toward human space. The hive mind had made a decision. Humanity was now priority target 1. The swarm would not rest until humans were eliminated. Earth and every human colony would be attacked with overwhelming force. The message was delivered to Admiral Stone 3 hours after the battle ended. He stood in his quarters, finally alone, finally able to let his exhaustion show. He had lost over 1,000 ships. 200,000 humans had died defending the Kixari, and now the swarm was coming for Earth. His first officer entered. "Sir, intelligence confirms massive swarm movement toward our territory. They're pulling forces from every front. It looks like they're massing for a full assault on Earth itself." "How many?" "At least 30 swarm fleets, possibly more." "Sir, that's more force than they've ever concentrated in one place. They're coming to wipe us out." Stone nodded slowly. "And the Kixari, safe?" "The swarm has completely abandoned the sector. Ambassador Velthos is requesting to speak with you." "Send him in." Velthos entered, his crystalline features showing deep concern. "Admiral, I have received the reports. The swarm is targeting Earth because you helped us." "Yes," Stone agreed. "You must go. Defend your homeworld. My people are safe now. You have fulfilled your debt." "More than fulfilled it." Stone looked at the tactical displays on his wall. The swarm fleets were still visible, retreating but not yet gone. "Ambassador, may I tell you a story?" Velthos nodded. "When I was a child, my grandmother took me to the monument of Kelthos on Earth. It's a beautiful place with gardens and pools, very peaceful. She told me about the day the asteroid came, how everyone thought humanity would die." Stone smiled at the memory. "She said that when Kelthos arrived, no one could believe it. One ship from a species we barely knew coming to save us. People cried in the streets, not from fear anymore, but from hope, from gratitude, because someone somewhere in the vast universe had decided we were worth saving." He turned to Velthos. "Do you know what my grandmother told me that day?" "What did she say?" "She said that kindness is the rarest thing in the universe. Rarer than gold, rarer than any element. And when you find it, you hold on to it. You protect it, you make sure it never disappears." Stone called up a new display. "The swarm fleets are regrouping here, 3 systems away. Our intelligence suggests this is a staging area. But look closer." Velthos studied the map, his eyes widened. "That is not just a staging area. That is a hive structure." Stone confirmed. "The central coordination point for this entire swarm sector. We didn't know it existed until they started calling all their forces back to it, but now we do. You cannot mean to attack it, Admiral. You must defend Earth. Earth is 3 weeks away at maximum FTL speed." Stone said. "The swarm won't reach it for at least a month, but that hive structure is here now, within striking distance. If we destroy it, the hive mind loses control of every swarm ship in this entire region." He looked at Velthos directly. "We can end the swarm threat. Not just for the Kixari, not just for humanity, for everyone. But we need to act now before they're fully regrouped." You will be outnumbered. 10-1, maybe worse. You have already lost so many ships. I know, Stone said quietly. That's why I'm calling Earth for reinforcements. He activated a communication channel. A woman appeared on screen, older, with silver hair and the insignia of Earth's defense coordinator. Marcus, she said warmly. Congratulations on the victory. Thank you, Director. But we have a problem, Stone explained. The situation, the hive structure, the massive swarm force gathering, the opportunity to end the threat forever. The Director listened carefully. When Stone finished, she was quiet for a long moment. You're asking for every ship we have, she said finally. Yes. Every military vessel, every armed merchant ship, every privateer with a gun mounted on their hull. We can end this, but only if we hit them now with everything we've got. That will leave Earth completely defenseless. If we win, Earth won't need defenses. The swarm will be broken, and if we lose, they're coming for Earth anyway. At least this way we fight on our terms. The Director smiled. You sound like your grandmother. She was always the one who said we should remember Kelthos, build monuments, teach every child about the debt we owe. She was right. The debt isn't just about one species helping another. It's about proving that kindness matters, that loyalty is real, that the universe doesn't have to be cruel. The Director nodded. I'll make the announcement. Every human who can fly a ship will have the chance to volunteer. But Marcus, you need to know something. What? When people hear about this, when they learn that you're attacking the swarm to protect not just the Kixari, but everyone, when they understand what's at stake, you're going to get more volunteers than you can possibly use. She was right. The message went out across all human worlds. The swarm was massing to attack Earth, but there was a chance to stop them first, to destroy their central hive and end the threat forever. The cost would be high, many would die, but the reward would be peace for the entire galaxy. Every ship is needed. The message said, every pilot, every crew member. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The Second Fleet arrived in Kixari space like a thunderstorm. 8,000 ships, from massive battle cruisers to tiny personal craft welded with guns. They filled the sensor screens, a chaotic mix of military precision and civilian determination. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of Remember Kindness, watching the fleet assemble. His original force, now down to 1,600 ships, looked small compared to the reinforcements, but together they were magnificent. Admiral, his communications officer, called out, we're receiving thousands of hails, captains asking for orders, volunteers wanting assignments. Sir, one message is from a grandmother flying a mining tug. She's 87 years old and says she's here to pay her respects to Kelthos. Stone smiled despite the tension. That's humanity for you. Assign her to supply duty, keep her safe. The others, integrate them into battle groups as best we can. We don't have time for proper formations. Ambassador Velthos entered the bridge. Admiral Stone, my government has authorized our remaining defense ships to join you. It is only 60 vessels, but we wish to help. Ambassador, you've already sacrificed enough. Your people need those ships. You sacrificed far more for us. Velthos replied firmly, we stand with You as Kelthos stood with you, Stone. Clasped his shoulder, then we stand. Together. Welcome to the tactical map showed. The target. 3 systems away, the hive. Structure loomed. It was massive, a biological construct the size of a moon. Around it, 32 swarm fleets regrouped, protecting their central coordination. Point. They outnumber us 3-1. Stone's tactical officer reported. Maybe more. Our ships are less organized, less experienced. Many of our volunteers have never seen combat, but they're here, Stone said. They came anyway, that's what matters. He opened fleet-wide communications. This is Admiral Stone to all ships. You all know what we're facing, the swarm. Hive ahead of us is the command center. For every swarm ship in this sector, destroy it and we break their coordination. We end their ability to wage organized war. We save not just Earth, not just the Kixari, but dozens of worlds. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I won't lie to you, many of us won't survive this battle. The odds are terrible. The enemy is strong, but we have something they don't understand. We remember Kelthas who saved us when no one else would. We remember what it means to be loyal, to be kind, to keep our promises. His voice grew stronger. Today we show the galaxy what humanity is. We're not the strongest species. We're not the oldest or the wisest, but we're the ones who remember. And we never ever abandon those who helped us. 2 million voices responded. Remember kindness. The fleet advanced in 3 waves. First, the coffin ships clearing the approach with their devastating kamikaze. Without the kamikaze runs. Second, the main battle fleet engaging the swarm forces directly. Third, a single special ship carrying a weapon that would chain everything. The modified gravity lance device was smaller than the original, portable, but just as deadly. It required manual activation from inside the hive structure. Someone would have to plant it at the hive's core. Stone had handpicked a boarding team, 40 Marines, the best they had, and himself. Sir, you cannot lead the boarding party. His first officer protested. You're the fleet commander, which is why I understand what I'm asking these people to do. Stone replied. I won't send them somewhere. I won't go myself. The battle began with controlled chaos. Coffin ships screamed forward, accelerating to near light speed. Swarm opened fire, destroying hundreds. But thousands more got through. Explosions lit up space like fireworks. Behind them, the main fleet engaged. Human ships of every size fought with desperate courage. A luxury yacht somehow disabled a swarm cruiser with nothing but improvised missiles. A group of mining tugs used their industrial cutting lasers to slice through swarm hull armor. The 87-year-old grandmother in her mining tug rammed a swarm fighter, saving a destroyer from destruction. The Kixari ships fought alongside them, their crystalline vessels glowing with energy. They were artists and philosophers, not warriors. But they fought for their new friends with everything they had. The hive mind calculated constantly, trying to stop the humans. It adapted tactics, focused fire, sent wave after wave of ships, but humans were unpredictable. They used tactics that made no sense, took risks that defied logic, sacrificed themselves for strangers without hesitation. The hive mind could not understand, and what it could not understand it could not defeat. Stone's assault ship punched through the swarm defensive line, Behind it, 39 other ships followed, carrying the boarding team. They headed straight for the hive structure, dodging fire, taking hits, losing ships one by one. By the time they reached the hive surface, only 12 ships remained. Stone's ship was one of them. All teams. Landing position, Stone ordered. 30 seconds to breach. The ships attached to the hive's hull. Cutting torches burned through the biological armor. The Marines poured inside into corridors that pulsed like living tissue. The hive structure was not a building. It was a creature, and it knew they were there. Krathian warriors swarmed from every direction. The fighting was brutal, close quarters combat in alien environment. The Marines fought with skill and determination, but the casualties mounted quickly. Stone led the way deeper into the hive, following signals from the gravitation device they carried. It was heavy, requiring 4 Marines to move it. Every 100 m they lost someone. Fallen Marines gave their last breaths, buying seconds for the others to advance. Keep moving, Stone ordered, firing his weapon at attacking swarm creatures. We're close. Behind them, the main battle raged. Human ships were dying by the hundreds. The Second Fleet's organization had completely broken down. Individual captains fought their own battles, helping whoever they could, dying alongside strangers, but they held the line. They gave Stone's team time. Boarding party reached the hive core. It was a vast chamber filled with pulsing biological machinery. The hive mind's central processing system, the brain that controlled thousands of ships across light years. Only 8 Marines remained, including Stone. They set up the gravitational device in the chamber's center, working quickly. Swarm warriors poured in from multiple entrances. How long? Stone asked. 2 minutes to activate, sir, the engineer replied, working frantically. Hold them off, Stone ordered the remaining Marines. The Marines formed a perimeter. They fired until their weapons overheated, then grabbed swarm weapons from fallen enemies. One by one, they fell. 5 Marines for 3. Device is ready, the engineer reported. But sir, it requires manual activation. The signal won't reach through the hive's biological interference. Someone has to stay. Stone had known this would happen. The plan had always required final sacrifice. Get back to the ship, he told the last 3 Marines. Sir, we can't. That's an order. Tell them what we did here. Tell them we kept our promise. The Marines hesitated, then saluted. They fought their way back toward the entrance, covering each other, leaving Stone alone with the device. More swarm warriors entered. Stone fired his weapon until it was empty, then drew his sidearm. He thought about his grandmother, about Kelthas, about the asteroid that almost killed humanity 847 years ago. One Kixari captain had chosen kindness over orders. He had saved 6 billion humans he would never meet. Today Stone returned the favor. He activated the gravitational device. The hive structure began to collapse inward. The micro black hole formed at the core, pulling everything toward it. Swarm warriors disappeared. Walls compressed. The hive mind's final thoughts were not of strategy or calculation, but something almost like surprise. Stone stood calmly as the gravitation forces grew stronger. He thought it would hurt, but it didn't. There was just a moment of pressure, then nothing. Aboard, remember kindness, the Crew watched as the hive structure imploded. It collapsed like a dying star, pulling itself into a single point, then vanishing. The gravitational pulse rippled outward. Every swarm ship in the sector stopped moving. The hive-mind connection severed. Instantly, the ships drifted lifeless, their biological systems failing without central coordination. The Krathian swarm, which had terrorized the galaxy for 3,000 years, was dead. The human fleet held position in stone silence. They had won against impossible odds, facing overwhelming numbers. They had actually won, but the cost was visible everywhere. Thousands of destroyed ships, millions of dead. The Second Fleet had arrived with 8,000 vessels. Fewer than 2,000 remained in the Galactic Council chambers. Representatives watched the aftermath. Silence. The swarm was gone. The greatest threat in known space had been eliminated by a species the Council had considered young and unimportant. Admiral Chen stood before them, her uniform torn, exhausted from coordinating relief efforts. The swarm is broken, she reported. Our analysts confirmed the hive structures. Destruction severed all higher-level coordination. Remaining swarm ships are operating on basic instincts only. They can be dealt with conventionally now. At what cost? The Moltarian diplomat asked quietly. How many humans died? 2.4 million, Chen replied. Military personnel, civilian volunteers, everyone who believed that debt needed to be paid. And Admiral Stone